Evolution is a topic of debate in much of the world today. Our next speaker will be questioning evolution in a presentation designed to have him speaking on a hot-button topic. Greg Geikema is our District 62 Public Relations Officer, and he will be giving his fourth speech from the Public Relations Advanced Manual. At the end of his speech, he will take 2 questions from the audience. Feel free to make him think on his feet by asking him a difficult question. With his speech titled, Always Seek the Answers, please welcome Greg Geikema.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and exuberant guests. I grew up the son of a preacher, so growing up I always learned that God created man and God created animals on the same day. Of course I heard of evolution, and I didn't really give too much thought to it, that scientists had to test and observe their theories. So with a supernatural creation, scientists don't really have any legitimate way of testing that. But I always believed that a giraffe was a giraffe in the beginning, and people, well, we've always been people. Now it's not that there's 2 camps on evolution, against evolution and for evolution. There's also a third camp which believes that there is evolution and God had a hand in steering that. And I myself, I don't believe in evolution, but I do believe in microevolution, which is, as Charles Darwin studied, there's some species changes of variation within a species, such as the finches that were on the Galapagos Islands. On different islands, there's still finches, but their beaks would change. If the island had nuts to eat or insects to eat, the finches' beaks were bigger or smaller or longer to get at the insects. So I do believe that there's variation that species do adopt to their environment, but in the end, there's still a finch, there's still a bird. You have no species, new species. So I kind of wondered, how am I going to present this in a short 6-minute speech? And what I'm going to ask you all to do is to become Martians for me. Would you become Martians? Put on your Martian caps. Get in a rocket with me, and we're going to travel to Earth, okay? Now, we've never been to Earth before. We're coming into Earth, and we see all these vast species of creatures. It wouldn't take long where you would realize that man was a special creature. Above all the other creatures, man just has communication. He's got microwave radio communication. He's got airplanes going through the sky. I brought a couple pictures here. Here's the Burj Dubai Tower. I believe that's in the United Arab Emirates. Okay. More than a half a mile tall. So man is a creator. Now you may look around and say, is there any other animal out of the millions of creatures that can build? And yes, after a while you would find the beaver dam, which is a nice collection of building for an animal. But if you contrast the two, it would seem obvious that man, seemingly from another planet out of this world, and then you may see a bird and hear the bird chirping. As a Martian, you come in and you think, oh, that's the greatest, there can't be anything better than this. But then you see man does it again. He's got Mozart, he's got Beethoven, Bach, and Justin Bieber. Some people like Justin Bieber, okay? Man has facial expressions unlike the animals to help with communication, to help with our speeches. Shock, anger, sadness, happy. Man laughs, man cries, man wears clothes, man walks on 2 feet. Man has choice, animals have instinct. I'll give you an example of animal instinct. The monarch butterfly, which is in Mexico in the winter, flies up north to Michigan during the summertime, and 3 generations of monarchs die before they go back to Mexico in the winter. These monarchs have never been to Mexico, but they figure out a way to get there through instinct. And I would argue it's a code in their DNA, that the instinct in the animals, I mean, I wish I had a GPS in my head sometimes, but I get lost a lot. I will give you 3 issues I have with full-blown evolution, which is the evolution that does not involve God, that's through chance. The first one is eyes. Eyes are very complex. You know, an eye is about as complex as you can get. So if an eye evolved, it would be remarkable. And first of all, I would ask, how would the creature know that there was light to see to get eyes in the first place? So it's very good stroke of luck, if evolution is true, that eyes evolved, and then most creatures have 2 sets of eyes to see in 3 dimensions, so they got even luckier as 2 eyes. And furthermore, I would ask, what good is a half an eye? So if it's evolving, it is not benefiting the creature. Second thing, male and female of every species would have to be in the same place at the same time so they could reproduce. That's just a stroke of luck. Otherwise, the species dies out. How would the species know that it was going to die so that the cell had to reproduce in the first place? But it happens in every living cell. They all reproduce. And finally, there's plant evolution and there's animal evolution. And they're separate, but we'd have to, for evolution to be true, you'd have to have plants and animals evolving in the same place at the same time, because insects pollinate the plants and eat the plant food, and plants need the insects to move the seeds around. The final thing I'd like to talk about is the term irreducibly complex, which means without one part, the system doesn't work. Such as in a mousetrap, if you're missing a part, the mousetrap doesn't work. Well, there's a bacteria, the bacteria flagellum, which has 40 well-matched interlocking parts. And without one of those parts, the flagellum doesn't work. So how would they evolve? Scientists are trying to study this and coming up with answers. This, I have not heard anything that makes sense to me. But the flagellum is the world's most efficient motor. It's 99% efficient. It's got forward and reverse gears. Man can make motors that are 75% efficient. And they base a lot of that off of, they're looking at this flagellum, the stator, the rod, the O-rings. So I'd conclude by saying life is a mystery. How did we get here? Yes, if it was through chance, is it possible? It's possible I could win the lottery 50 years in a row. It is possible, 50 every day for 50 years. It's possible that is it possible that a single-celled, non-rational cell could turn into me through billions of years? Well, I would argue it's not practical or logical. So was life designed with purpose? Purposely designed? And if so, who designed it? So if you argue, you could say it was God that purposely designed it. You could say it was the flying spaghetti monster that purposely designed it. But either way, I would say don't accept what I say, don't accept what the scientists say, but seek out the knowledge for yourself and always seek the answers. Thank you very much. I see you're so exuberant. I'm going to ask for just one question because I know we're running out of time. So if anyone has a question they'd like to stump me with, and even if you're on my side, just feel free to try and ask me a tough question. Lenny?
Evolution is a scientific theory. What is your scientific counterclaim to evolution?
Thank you for putting me on the spot. my counterclaim to you said scientific theory of evolution? Okay. Well, basically at the end of my speech there, I kind of wrapped it up, is that there's really two choices. It either came about by chance or it came about through a purpose. And is it possible that chance through natural selection? I've studied some evolution, but I'm not, it's very hard for me to grasp that did chance and natural selection create. Well, I can see where blue bugs would turn to green over time through genetics because the blue bugs would get eaten, but I can't see where the blue bugs would turn into a different creature through natural selection. So my argument, I guess, is that there's two options. Number one, chance. It's hard for me to see that happening no matter how much time takes place, but I do see that there's a purpose behind why we're here. Now search for that purpose. What is the reason for that purpose? Thank you.
Go ahead and take a couple of minutes to fill out your reviews.